Well, Terry, we're live.
We are.
We are here in the Top of the World Listener Lounge. And if you're also listening in the Listener Lounge, please allow StreamYard to see your who you are so we can see who you are.
Are you
when
in the
you
Listener
comment.
Lounge and on the page? Are we on the page?
We're on the Listener Lounge, we're on the page, and we're also on the Unrelated at Birth YouTube.
Oh.
Because, you know, Unrelated at Birth can now do Disney.
Because there are no rules.
There are no rules. There's one rule. So
is anybody here? If you're here, say hello.
Yeah, say hello. We got two people in the Top of the World Listener Lounge.
There you go.
Talking to us. We are going to be talking about my trip report. We've got to talk about Disney Genie coming out. We finally got some. In fact, I am taking a class on it tomorrow. Dave looks like a California raisin. I'm wearing a Figment shirt.
He is.
You
do look like a California raisin.
Heard it through the grapevine. Not much longer would you be my baby.
Who did the Happy Meal toys with the California raisins?
It was Mickey D's.
No, I think wasn't it?
No, it was McDonald's. I had all of them.
You sure it wasn't Burger King? I feel like that was somebody else.
It was Mickey D's.
Dude, back in the day, man, Burger King came in. They had the Pound Puppies.
Yep. I remember that one.
Well, while we're pre-showing here.
Yeah, we're just pre-showing, talking.
California raisins.
Pre-show.
It was Hardee's. Google
was it
Hardee's? Yeah, I knew it was somebody off, dude.
Okay, well, I admit I was wrong. Yeah. Now that there's people here, if you want to comment, if you haven't done so, Carrie said McDonald's had them all as well. If you haven't done so, give StreamYard full allowance, I guess. Whatever. Let them see who you are, so you can, when you comment, like Jeffrey Martin said, there you go. His first full day of the park is his first day of Disney Genie.
Dude, I had these as a kid, and I'm literally about to buy them. They're $16 for the entire set on eBay. I kind of want them.
You've got to buy the California raisins now. Anyway, okay, so yeah,
Hardee's to confirm, because remember they had the whole. Oh, like there's a set of, there's 10 of them. 6 of them are all 10 are $22.
Do it, dude.
Dude, seems like a good deal. That was one of my favorite. Like,
add it to your collection back there.
Yeah, I really just kind of would like one of them. The surfboard one's pretty cool.
Yeah. So is that Walt or Oswald I hear in the background?
It's both of them, because Leslie is in San Diego tonight.
San Diego.
And she may or may not make it back. She did not hang out with Ron Burgundy. She did hang out with Bob Goff. She was out there for retreat at Bob Goff.
The great. I don't know what it is, but I think it means Wells. I can't say the rest of it. All right.
There's not a whole lot. Especially Anchorman 2, you really can't.
No, I can quote most of Anchorman 1 and a little bit of Anchorman 2.
Yep.
So, all right. So
the world famous Terry Weaver Death Buckets in Flight routine comes from
Death Buckets in Flight. Boo!
Yep. They haven't hit each other in a couple of weeks. There's been no bumper buckets. So
I know, and I wrote them a bunch of times.
Did you? Because did you stay? Where did you stay?
Well, we'll get into it.
You were not. Oh, you did Riviera some. Because
I did Riviera. In fact, we'll get into it because we toured the 3-bedroom and the tower suite. Just to see how the other half lives.
Dude, that 3-bedroom is
it's bonkers.
I just can I just buy one? What's one of those?
Yeah.
Can I get one of like $400,000? Can I have one of those? I'll just stay there.
I just got done showing Carrie the tower suite. Because it's perfect for somebody like Carrie, who's a single guy and wants to go and do a trip, and it's a perfect place.
Oh, dude, and that mattress is a more comfortable mattress in Riviera.
And then I showed him the video of the 3-bedroom, and it's crazy. He said, the group that went in March were like, oh, we should all go in Christmas one year, and I said, oh, let me look how many points it is. 865 points for 6 nights. There is no, I have 250 points. There's no feasible way I could do that. Ever.
Yeah, well, we're gonna talk Galactic Star Cruiser.
Yep, we got to talk that too.
Let me pull up that point chart before we get.
Yeah. How about this? I'm going to start our little music while you're pulling that up. You ready? Yeah. Welcome to this 30-second interlude of DVC, and away we go.
This is Top of the World, the Disney Vacation Club podcast. A proud part of the WDW Today and Laugh-O-Gram Studios family. Join us as we talk parks, points, perks, and all things DVC, and how to get the most out of your membership. Here they are, Dave Adams and Terry Weaver.
Welcome home. I'm Terry Weaver. Dave Adams is muted, so we're going to do this again because.
Yep. Sorry, my video's not working for some reason either. So, but we'll keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, I have a black screen.
Oh.
So, hold on just a second.
Well, I think you're in the feed. I see you in the studio.
Okay. Well, then let's. I can see your little thing down here. So we'll go as is. So.
Yeah, you're even on the interwebs.
Oh,
so
here we go. I'm good now. I can see myself. Okay.
Well, welcome home. I'm Terry Weaver.
And I'm jet setting Dave Adams.
Looking like a California raisin tonight.
I'm looking like Figment, okay? My daughter had a unicorn birthday party, and the closest shirt I had to a unicorn was my Figment shirt that I bought on my last trip. And I thought it would be a good shirt to wear to talk about my trip.
Okay.
So,
man, a lot to talk about. You went down there for the 50th.
I was
there. My suspicions were right about the 50th. All the reasons I didn't want to go.
Actually, Terry, I've got something to say about that because they were and they weren't right. Let's say it that way.
Well, here's what I was right about. Disney did nothing for it except for the press event.
Right.
There was nothing special on the day.
There was some. There was
a button and a map and a print, which if we're going to continue to be friends, hopefully you brought me at least one of those back with your family of 4.
I got you, brother. They're selling for $75 on Mercari.
Dude, I saw that, which is
for $50 you can have one.
Oh, nice. Nice. Hey, I was nice enough tonight to maintain restraint and not show up in a A&M Aggies hat tonight, and I had several of your friends and our listeners volunteer to be like, dude, if you didn't get that, I'll FedEx it to you.
I know. I'm not shocked. I have if I didn't have friends.
You know who I'm surprised I didn't hear from? It's probably because she was busy last night. Is our good friend Sherry, because it feels like she would have 100% volunteered.
Sherry would have been. Yep, here it is. Go.
Yep, what's your address? I'll deliver it. I'll walk it over myself.
We were talking in the pre-show. Now I can say it's a game, whatever. It's kids playing football, but during the game, I wasn't a good person.
Yep. Yeah.
Not at all.
There was definitely flash flooding in the state of Alabama last night. There was definitely tears all over the state of Alabama.
Yeah, and we watched it on our new patio outside.
Dude, the new Dave Adams backyard living's looking good, man.
It looks awesome, doesn't it? It's great.
You gotta forget Panama City being the Redneck Riviera. Your backyard is the Redneck Riviera,
dude. Yeah, and that what you don't see in the picture that Amanda posted is I've got a kegerator, a Blackstone, and a pit boss all on the other side there. So,
you know what you need to really be like full on? You need some wind chimes.
No, those aren't happening. Those ain't happening.
You know what actually is nice? I started to buy them when we were there, just because they're cool. Is those windmill things that are at Animal Kingdom right there?
Those are kind of cool looking.
But here's the deal: each of those pieces, like, it doesn't sound like it's that bad of a deal. It's like, it's like $60. It's like, oh, cool, I'm out of here. And they hand you like 1/3 of it. Like each section is $60. It's like, nah, man.
No, I'm good.
No, I'm good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
No.
Like, you got to be kidding me. It's like,
yep.
and you have to buy like 3 of them for it to work. So yeah, it's those they're proud of those dangly Tinkerbells.
Yeah. All right. What are Walt and Oswald over there, man? They're like fighting.
Dude, it is Schnauzer WrestleMania. My wife is out of town, so and I've been gone. Yep, see, yep, there they go. They just heard my wife. Boys, yeah, you're gonna have to edit the heck out of this because I'm on dog duty.
No, hey, it's Audio Veritas. It's a podcast.
Yeah, and so it's it's living real life here. Leslie, one of the girls' weekend, and this is an incredibly busy season. So I'm glad we were able to even just find the time to pull this off. So
yeah, and it's long overdue because we've got a lot to talk about. We got my trip report, which I'm not going to be all rainbows and butterflies Disney Dave on this trip. There's a lot of good, but there was some bad.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I'm the same way. There were some things that Disney's done lately that I'm like, man, I really like that. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah.
So let's do the trip report through like somewhat chronologically for how it happened in real time.
Okay.
And then way I can commentate on what you've done a little more.
All right, and then do you want me to get into opinions afterwards?
No, we'll go there. Because if we get into opinions, let's just do it with each thing and be like, oh man, that's really cool.
Okay.
So like one of the first things you got to do, I know, was Space 220. And
hold up.
We're not gonna have time, dude. There's so much news that's happening.
You're right.
We're gonna have to this isn't the we stopped at the bathrooms in Tomorrowland. This isn't that trip report.
Okay.
Because we'll be here till Tuesday if we do this. So
all right,
let's hit the highlights, and then if we have time for something that we missed, we can.
Okay.
Because you got in. What day of the week did you get in?
I got in on Monday night and got to what I thought was a standard room at Jumbo.
Mm-hmm.
And I opened up the balcony, and there stood a giraffe.
Yep, dude, a lot. I would say a lot of you can even in your selection process to reserving a room at Jumbo House. You can say, I would prefer a Savannah View because there's a decent number. Now, granted, a lot of them are like on a fence line.
Oh, I was on a fence line.
Yeah, that's why you were on a fence line, which honestly, I 100% guarantee you the room next to you was Savannah Points.
Yeah.
And they would have literally, or maybe 2 down. They're normally not that far because you can look on most like room maps, and it'll tell you this is Savannah, this is a value, this is a standard. Now the value rooms at Jumbo House, those you're basically looking at air conditioning units and roofs and pools. We had when we were down last, we had a 1-bedroom, and we were at a standard, which honestly I thought I booked Savannah, but sometimes you just book what's available and you're like, whatever.
Exactly.
And we were right. I had never been like all the way at the pool where we stayed, and like we had great views and great animals. And a lot of times you don't get drafts on a lot of especially at Kidani, you don't get drafts. Yeah, we were right at Kidani on the pool line, so it was great. Loved it.
And I'll say this: I honestly, after just recently staying at both Kidani and Jumbo, I prefer Jumbo.
Well, Jumbo is the better place to stay if you're making use of Disney's transportation.
Exactly.
By a mile. Kidani is the better place to stay if you have a rent-a-car or drove your own vehicle to Disney.
And we did not do that.
A lot of people, it goes to probably the main reason you have a negative Saratoga Springs experience, because it's a horrible place to use Disney transportation from. All of the resorts that are that way, Caribbean, the French Quarter, Riverside, Old Key West, any of the ones that have multiple bus stops that's never a pleasant way to experience bus transportation, because normally by the time the first bus stop, it's cattle herds.
Exactly.
The last thing you wanted to be, I don't care if what you think about COVID. You don't want to be, up cozy to your neighbor.
And that's part of some of my issues I had with Disney on this trip. But that's for later in the week. We'll get into that.
Dude, and they've definitely, I mean, social distancing is over.
Oh, it's 100% over.
But I mean, in their defense, a prime example of the football game that your team was walking off the field probably for their lives because
oh, exactly.
So like, the CDC in all their science has said football events are fine. So hey, I assume theme parks are fine. Although I'm warning you right now, if you are traveling, I know this because I have friends at the parks right now. I know this because my wife is in the middle of a Southwest flight right now. Almost all of the airlines are doing a vaccine mandate, and there is strikes and walk-offs among air traffic controllers and among flight attendants and pilots on almost every airline as these things start to happen. So be prepared to pack extra patience. I know someone who was supposed to leave at 7:00 on Friday morning. It is still at the Contemporary.
Oh, wow.
There's worse places to be stuck. But they're either running points or dollars. But I mean, what are you going to do? You're stuck.
Yeah.
The flights keep getting canceled. So it severely hit the airspace over Jacksonville, Florida, the worst. So obviously that's pretty much in the flight path for anybody coming to Orlando that's not coming from the Caribbean. So, so just be aware that if you're a traveler right now, and I think this is going to get,
it's going to get ugly.
It's going to get ugly going into the holidays. So if you have real plans, I highly recommend a lot of times even doing this, especially now that we're ending Tragical Express, that it's super important to consider taking advantage of your Disney time and maybe staying off-site as you arrive in like a Hampton or something lower end. Because moving once isn't that big of a deal. When you're going to be mad is if you arrived, ended up getting delayed, and don't get to your Disney hotel till midnight when you burn points for the night.
Right.
You're going to be upset about it.
Exactly.
And so just be prepared for displacement and discomfort in your travel. And Disney World is extremely susceptible to it because, I mean, it's a huge airport. And so, and a lot of people get there on Southwest, Frontier, Spirit. American Airlines is experiencing as bad as anybody else. Delta, for some reason, has found a way to avoid that. So just kind of trying to give you, this is a travel podcast, so we want to keep you guys up to date on like what travel is like and how you're experiencing it. And know that like airlines like Southwest, Frontier, a lot of them don't have what's called code shares, which means if you get delayed on Delta, they just put you on a United flight or put you on other airlines. You're kind of on your own. So like, I've already talked to my wife about tomorrow. I was like, hey, if you're delayed, there's a direct out on Delta. It's $300. I'll buy you that ticket. We'll get you on that flight. And right. Like, and we'll call Southwest and go, hey kids, I had to spend $300 today. What are we doing?
Right.
So, and they're going to be good about it because they're experiencing it. They canceled 1,800 flights today.
Oh, it was bad. It was horrible.
So just know, and when that happens, it's going to take a week for that to heal.
Right.
So every time this happens, it's going to keep happening. I imagine, especially if you have a Thanksgiving or Christmas trip coming up. I mean, I have the thing coming up in 4 weeks. So believe me, we've got in fact, I'm going to rent a car here on standby just in case. So if I just need to get in the car and drive.
Yep.
So just know that pay attention to the time around your travel. And, Dave and I both experienced it with the ice storms in the winter.
Yep.
Now it's a different storm. Now it's
I've got
shortages.
So I've got a flight going in Frontier in November for the cruise that I'm making up for. So I'm definitely watching out for that.
What day do you do? How do you travel and how far before your cruise?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
Same day?
I did a same day just because it's the only thing that made sense. And price wise, I know I'm going to look at it and watch it.
Dude, you may need to.
I did the insurance on that one.
Yeah, I might.
I know.
I don't think I'd ever on a normal in a normal world, right? I wouldn't trust Frontier on a same day cruise trip.
Well, so we're supposed to land at like 9:00 in the morning, and then we don't check in till noon. So we've got a good buffer,
dude. But that's really not that long of a buffer. You're talking about a 90-minute trip, 35, 40 minutes to get your luggage. That means it means if you bolt off the plane, 9, 10:30, 11, you have an hour, 45 minutes to an hour buffer.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we'll look at it.
So just trying to help a brother out.
I know. And this trip's been in the works for a long time.
And this trip's been a nightmare already. And normally the ones that are like that, they kind of just stay that way. That's just part of travel. And dude, you and I have even talked about this. Like last time I was like, dude, just valet it. And because, man, you spend so much money and so much energy and so much thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Make it a positive experience. Do your best to make it a fun, and being stressed, I'm almost going to miss the boat. I've done that once out of our 13 cruises we've been on. One time we were pretty cozy. Just because we were back to backing. And so we didn't care because we knew we were going to be on it. We're like, let's push it as far as we can. And then like the rent-a-car bus got lost. Whatever,
So back to the trip, Space 220. We'll get to the Tuesday, which is Space 220 and Remy's. Space 220, I can't say enough about. It's going to be one of those restaurants I know we won't do multiple times a year. There are restaurants that we try to get on every trip. There are restaurants that we try to, every other year, every other trip. Space 220 is going to be one of those that we'll probably do every other trip, every other year, even. I hate to make this joke because everyone's going to make it, but the atmosphere is amazing.
The menu for lunch and dinner aren't that dissimilar.
They're not, but I would strongly recommend dinner. It's more expensive. You get dessert.
If dessert's your thing.
Yes, and the chocolate mousse I had was amazing.
Yeah.
Amanda had the steak, not the $24 extra ribeye steak. She had the steak medallions or whatever they were called, and she loved every bite of it.
Somebody told us the best steak they've had on Disney property.
I watched it was Mr. Morrow, paging Mr. Morrow on YouTube. He said that as well. And he knows his Disney food.
He's very hosted, but
yes,
he's not a slim fella.
No, he's not. He likes to eat.
I'll take his advice on food way before I'll take Tim Tracker's advice.
Well, and also when my buddy Josh goes, Josh is very Josh and Taylor are the WDW couple. When Josh goes and gives me his advice or his thoughts, he will give you bad. He'll say, "Yeah, Disney didn't do it right." So he will really.
I've heard very few, other than like one day they ended up canceling a bunch of people because of all the day the influencers all went for free.
Right,
they ended up canceling a bunch of people who most of which were travel agents, which were pissed off.
Yes, I know. But so I would say it's a prefix menu.
Yep.
And so you can order more
kind
than
of neither
one
here
thing.
nor there. Sometimes the prefixes are amazing, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah. You can order more than one thing too because it's prefix. It's the same price for pretty much everything. So they'll just bring you small. It's the same thing at Topolino's right now. Topolino's, it's you pay the same price. You can have whatever on the menu. They just bring you a smaller plate of it.
Oh, okay. So it's almost like Palo on the cruise ship, right? Yes. Where they'll bring you more than
exactly, okay. and they will bring you more of what you've ordered too.
But like I'm gonna need some more steak.
I mean, they would do it. I didn't do it this time because I ate way too much food. So how's this? We had a
Did
four.
you do the really girly martini? Please tell me you did the girly
no,
martini.
I did not.
Okay.
I did not. I didn't have a drink because I knew right after we had a 4:15 reservation, and then we had to be at Remy's at 6:00.
Okay.
So I knew we would be huffing it.
Well, you didn't have to be there. You had an hour from 6:00.
Yes, but I wanted to do your advice and do Remy's as many times as we can. But I would say,
Did you listen, Dave Adams?
I listened to you, sir.
Oh my gosh.
I would say Space 220 is definitely a restaurant you need to try. It is pricey. It will scare people away because of the price, but the food is excellent.
It is out of this.
Oh, did you really just Jeffrey? So can I order one of everything twice for the same price? I haven't heard yay or nay to that, but in the true form of a prefix menu, yes. I do know that at every prefix menu restaurant I've been to before on Disney property, that is the case. I don't want to give bad misinformation because, once again, this restaurant is not run by Disney. It's run by Paulo or
Patina
Group, the Patina Group.
Yeah.
And so they might have different rules, but every other prefix menu I've been to before, that's how they do it. Real quick, I have to say this. Brad Toon, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Grateful to live vicariously through your trips. Helps with the long wait. We are till we are welcomed home in February. Brad, I can't wait for y'all to be welcomed home in February either. We'll hopefully be at your home resort in March of next year. That's our next big plan.
We do have some Canadians coming to the thing, so they are letting the Canadians through.
Well, there you go. There you go. So I would strongly say you need to try Space 220 at least once.
I've heard it's a must do. You may not do it. You may not want it. You may not be able to do it every time.
That's it exactly.
But there's a lot of experiences that are that way.
Right.
You know,
the
Victoria
elevator
Albert
ride
isn't made to go to every time. This is that kind of experience. This is a more elevated experience. But it's more about the environment and the
I see what you said. You did there, elevated.
Oh,
because you ride the elevator.
I didn't even mean to do it, but sometimes the puns come for free.
Yep. But yeah, the elevator's cool. I want to take a peek at some of the Disney magic and see how that's done. I don't think it even takes you up a floor. I think it's just a rumble room, kind of like the stretching room at Haunted Mansion.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like the stretching room at Haunted Mansion on this coast. It doesn't really do anything.
It's basically the same thing as like the Star Cruiser or whatever the ship is that old cousin to
yeah, Star Tours.
It's a frap. It's not a wrap, it's a frap.
Yeah. On Rise. But anyway, so after we ate at Space 220, we ran across the park.
Vive la France.
Yeah, to the Remy's, and they did a really good job with the annual pass holder thing. They put those hedges in front of the entrance there.
Yep, that was done really well.
Yeah, you go back there. You have to show your reservation, and then you have to scan your reservation.
Yep.
So you had 2 checkpoints you had to go through. And so we get back there, and here's my only thing I would say that they could have done better is they had a cart of all their stuff.
The merch was awful.
Yeah, it was horrible, except for one thing. Ellie did buy the little rat Remy that runs up and down your shirt.
Yeah. Now what was funny is a lot of those. It was funny because like I was so the most upset I've been in a while is when I went to that cart and they were telling customers their discount wasn't good at that cart. And it's just like, okay, guys, listen, and I apologize to the customer that told me that, dude. I was like, dude, I'm sorry. They put you clowns through the ringers for 36 months. You know, you've hung onto your job by a thread. Now you're back. Now we can't give you 20% off a fake rat.
So they also, were told that on 10/1, their discount was no good anywhere for any of the new 50th merch.
Oh yeah, the 50th merch, they've got to wait.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think what they're trying to do is there's been some people who've taken advantage of the resale thing, and some of them have been customers, even though that's against their rules. They're trying to solve a problem that they've created themselves, and they're trying to get really aggressive about it. And I respect that. I respect the solution.
That is one of the things that we're going to get into that I hated
but still,
on this trip.
dude. I mean, like for you, there's 4 of you, right? You could go there if there was a T-shirt you wanted to buy.
Mm-hmm.
You could buy. There's 4 of you, so you could buy
I could buy 8
of every size,
right?
Because it's per SKU. It's very specific. There's a different SKU for each size of shirt. So
exactly,
if it starts at extra small and goes to XXX, that's a case of shirts,
right?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, man, I was real disappointed. I had my credit card out. I had my PayPal out. I was ready to. I had 3 or 4 people who went and said, "Dude, I got in the queue. What do you want? Here's the PDF." And I looked at the PDF, and it's just like, I almost got the shirt you wanted, the one that was like the blue jean denim shirt, and I was like, "Am I really gonna wear a shirt with iridescence on it in rose gold?"
I'd wear it. I would. Well, it's
dude.
Not
You're
that
wearing
bad.
a dang raisin. You're raising it right now with Figment on it. So like,
look, I wear loud colors, and I'm proud.
Yeah.
So,
but it's kind of like things that you'd wear at the park, right? It's like
right.
And it was like $40.
Yeah.
And I was like, just no. The girl's shirt was actually really cool.
The Spirit jersey is awesome.
Yeah, but
because it's got the years on the sleeve.
They'll keep 50. Dude, believe me, there's gonna be so much more 50th merch,
but not the day of, and the day of stuff is what I wanted.
Dude, honestly, most on the 45th, it was terrible. I mean, honestly, that's the main reason we didn't go. I mean, I know we haven't even got to that, but like the merch was terrible, the experience was terrible, and there was still nothing. In fact, they did more on the 45th than they did today. They did like a ceremony on the 45th. So like, let's get to France.
Yeah,
because I want to talk about what happened before. All the stuff that happened before, because I've got some bold. I alluded to a little on WTW today, but I've got some bold opinions.
Okay. Amanda's going to come down here in a minute and talk about the 50th, the day of, because she actually went into the park at 6:00 in the morning. I stayed with the girls, so just a little. Hopefully, she can come down when the girls are in bed and talk about her experience, because she's got some thoughts. But
dude, the I saw the pictures when it was still dark in front of the Magic Kingdom. Was just like,
it's crazy.
I was like, y'all have a good time.
We did.
No, and I think what made this experience fun for a lot of people, and the one thing I was jealous of not having, I was like, I wish I'd have gone and got a room off property I wish I'd have had the Airbnb and had everybody over for dinner and a barbecue. Because all of my people were in one place at one time. That was really cool. That was what was cool about it.
And I could say I was there. I was in the park. I got a chance to see Josh. I got a chance to see Jeff, who is the vice president of the park. Hey, by the way, we're going to skip to Friday real quick. Amanda just walked into the room.
Okay. So let's talk about that. We got to remember to come back to.
Yeah, we'll come back. So, Amanda, Terry's going to interview you. So I'm going to hand you the headphones so you can hear him.
All right. Hello.
The new co-host of the show, Amanda Adams, everybody.
Yes.
We finally got rid of Dave. This is all it took. So tell me about your morning at Dark 30 on the 50th.
Sure, yeah.
How did you draw? First of all, how was this decision made?
To go so early in the morning?
You would go and Dave would stay behind. What was it?
Well, the real reason he's sitting over here, but is because I knew that if he went and I stayed back, he would buy all the things. So therefore, I went. There's a couple of the things that I like to not collect, but that I enjoy, like the Loungefly backpacks and the ears that I like, ones that commemorate an event. So I'm always going to gravitate towards a food and wine festival one or things like that. So
that explains your daughter's ear. It's hereditary.
Yes. So I like the ones that commemorate an event because that's what means something to me when I buy a souvenir. So Christmas ornament. So I decided I wanted a Christmas ornament.
Okay.
So I was going to get up really early, and the day before the Emporium was already insane. So the day before we had taken the girls through, and I knew that there was no way we were going in the Emporium at all on the 50th, on the day of the 50th with a stroller. So the best course of action was for me to get up early and go, him stay back, and then meet us in the parks once we got ready to actually enjoy the day at Magic Kingdom and not shop, because that was not happening. And I definitely made the right decision there because when we got up, I got up super early. I got to our bus stop. They had told us the night before that our buses would not start running until an hour and a half before park open. So for guests, that was parks open at 7:30, so that would have been 6. When I got down there at 6, it's probably more. Yeah, when I got down there at 6, they had actually started running between 5 and 5:30. So they had already started taking people over. People that I was at the bus stop with, they were getting text messages from people saying that they got on the bus at 5:30 at Animal Kingdom, or they walked over at 4 from the Emporium. So that's when I knew, whew, this may be a mistake.
So you got there. They were letting people in the parks right away, right? Were you getting in the virtual queue before you got in?
No, we were not getting the virtual queue before we got in. When we got there, when I got there, they just opened the gates. I got there about 6:30, and they had just opened the gates. So
an hour before
advertised
early opening hour, right? Because the parks would have opened at what? At 7, so 8 o'clock
7,
opening.
Right.
8 o'clock when you got in 30 minutes early because you were on property.
Right. And they were not checking when we got in to see if we were at a resort until you got up to the castle. And then you couldn't leave the center area there. You couldn't leave there unless you were staying in a select resort. Then you could go to where the rides were. But they were letting anybody.
Nobody that was there at 6 a.m. to go see a ride. They were there for one.
Nobody
purpose.
That was there all day was there to ride a ride but us, I think.
Wait times on the day of the 50th were non-existent.
No, yeah, we walked on just about everything that we wanted to ride. It was crazy. We didn't wait for any rides.
Insane.
But so let's back up. So I get there. They just opened the gates. So I go straight to the Emporium, and I get in line. I get in the Emporium.
Queue?
No virtual queue for the Emporium. Once I'm walking in the Emporium, a lady's holding up a sign with a QR code. And so I didn't know what it was, but everybody was scanning it. So what do? You scan it, right? She could have totally given me a virus, but I did it. I scanned it. And that put me in a virtual queue for the Big Top Circus, where they were having the day of merchandise. So everything that was in the Emporium was not necessarily day of exclusive.
Okay, so you had to go all the way to the back of the park to get the day of stuff.
Right, which did not open until park open, and then they started a virtual queue then. So I scanned it. I was like number 947, I think, for the Big Top for the day of merchandise. But the Emporium was absolutely packed. And when I got up, there was no turning back at that point because people were pushing you forward the whole time. So when I got up to the area right before they had put all the Disney, the 50th anniversary stuff out, which they took over that area when you first walk in, about halfway down Main Street. That's normally the home area. They've got home stuff, and then you go and the next step further, it's like the princess stuff. They took over those two areas for the 50th stuff. So I get up really close to it, and they have started only letting a few people in at a time so that you could actually look and shop, which theoretically was a really great idea. Until they started having people break in the exits and rush the area. About that time,
were you near the blue Starbucks cups that everybody has to have?
Yes, too close.
Those
So,
things are, first of all, they're not even Disney World exclusive. There's a Disneyland version of that exact same mug.
really,
Yes, there's, if you Google it, like there's
you
that
can.
exact mug with the Disneyland D, which I think the Disneyland logo is better than the Walt Disney World logo. So it's just funny. They're all freaking out for these like things, and that's not even a day of. That was like they're
Yeah,
gonna make
no,
millions of those.
they're on Shop Disney right now. But I
Yeah.
watched people punch each other
Oh
for
yeah.
them. I
It
mean,
was like Royal Rumble in there.
yeah. So the problem we encountered was finally when people started breaking in the exits, the cast members that were supposed to be keeping people out of that area, like they were literally getting ran over. They turned around, it kind of ran forward to keep from getting rushed. So everybody was rushing through. I was getting pushed through the area. And then finally we're in the area and the people that are going up to get their merchandise, they finally just opened up the back doors and they had a truck there and they were just handing stuff out. They weren't even shelving products. So you were standing in line to get one side was the Christmas ornament, the tumbler.
Did you get
No,
your
once
Christmas ornament
I did. It's beautiful.
after all of that?
After all of that, oh my gosh, I heard so many people drop theirs and break theirs after standing in that line. I was super paranoid. So the whole day, I was making sure that we were not breaking this ornament.
Oh, because
that I stood in line
they were
for.
glass, right?
Yes, they're the
Oh,
blown glass with like the castle and stuff inside.
oh Lord.
So it is beautiful, but whew, it was a
It's
journey.
never going on the tree.
No, I told Dave we're gonna get a stand for that one. It's gonna go on the bookshelf,
Yeah.
high on the bookshelf. for
Maybe not too
Christmas.
high in case there's an earthquake in northern Alabama, which they do have
Well,
from time to time.
well, the bookshelf's in the basement, so we should be good.
Yeah, unless, well, yeah, if it goes wrong, you have much bigger things to worry about than that
True.
ornament.
True.
Yeah, that was honestly, and the reason why when you guys were talking about going, man, I still have like nightmares of that whole experience. And we didn't even do the whole morning thing. It was like that for the whole day on the 45th. And it was just
Yeah.
like, man, if I knew that if I went to the 50th, I'd experience that. I'd be like, you know what? I don't ever need to go back again. I don't want to see this
Yeah.
place again because it's just, it brings out the worst in people for stuff that, I mean, 20 years from now, your kids are going to get that ornament and go, what is this thing?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, for sure.
it's not, but you got it. So you could check the box. You guys had it.
I did. And I got a lounge fly. I did get a lounge fly. I was not even intending to get one, but that's one of those things where I got up to the front and the lady was like, do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? And I'm like, yes, yes. I did not get a tumbler because I could care less about a tumbler. But people were pushing people out of the way. They were, people would send one representative in and have them get the stuff and stand there until there other
Until
people
someone,
could get
yeah,
in.
come, yeah.
Yeah, to be able to pay. So it was a madhouse. But so then when I left the Emporium, Dave and the girls came. I did get a little pop socket thing for my phone that's got the 50th on it.
Okay,
And
that's
then,
cool.
and then the lounge fly and the Christmas ornament. So and some pins, of course. Everybody's got to get.
Did you get anything for Dave after all that, or did he not want anything?
No, not that day. I did not get anything for him that day. No, he
Did
was
you
more
ever
interested
get in? Did you go to the ornament was a day of, right? Like, or that was all of it?
Well, I thought so at the time, but no, the ornament was not the day of. There was a day of ornament at the Big Top
That was just like a
Circus.
mouse ears. It wasn't.
Yeah, and it was
wasn't
right. It
ugly.
wasn't special. It was flat ceramic. It was not as good. But I never went to the Big Top because I was, like I said, I was 947 in line. We went back there, and there were people everywhere. And we thought, oh, we're never, because our kids love Dumbo. We have to ride Dumbo every time we go in. We thought, oh, we're never gonna be able to ride Dumbo. But no. It was all people standing there waiting for their turn to go in Big Top. And there were cast members telling people, you have to leave this area or we cannot let more people in if we cannot get these people out. So we waited and waited. We did the whole park, and I never got my page to come back. Finally, at about, mind you, I got on the virtual queue at 6:30 in the morning. Finally, at about 12:30, 1 o'clock, I got the text to go back in to Big Top, but we were actually already back at the resort just because things were so crazy there. We went, we took our picture in front of the castle, we rode our few must-ride rides, and then decided that was really enough for us. But again, it wasn't the rides. People were standing in line for hours for the popcorn buckets. There were lines that you thought, man, I'm never going to ride this ride. And it turns out it was for a popcorn bucket and for people that already had like 3 or 4 in their arms. So, yeah.
Because they'd buy their 2, go back and buy 2 more. That was just what they were
Right.
doing all day.
Right. Yeah.
And,
Endless
you know,
cycle.
as much as you hate these people, because you do, some of them do pay for their Disney fandom from it. I get it. But, man.
Yeah.
Crazy train. Well, at least you guys had a good time.
Yeah, we did.
You made the best of it. It definitely was a... And there was no, like... I'm still shocked that there was no, like, day of ceremony. There was no, like...
Yeah. There was a park welcome. I got to see a little bit of it, but
that's the
because
same welcome that they showed on the 2nd of October.
Yeah.
There was a casual
Right.
stage show that was just... That's the new stage show for the next 18 months.
Right. And it was literally maybe 5 minutes max. Yeah.
Mickey and Donald running across the stage and... Welcome to the most magical celebration on Earth. You know, thank you for coming to Magic Kingdom. Have a wonderful day. Like, that's it pretty much.
Right. Yeah. So definitely wasn't anything you had to be there the day of to see. I did not see anything other than the activities that, or other than the merchandise that was in the big top that was, you had to have been there the day of to see. Other than the crazy people punching each other, which was a sight. Don't get me wrong. That was a sight.
Yeah.
Just not sure I'd ever do that again.
Well, at least you didn't have, at least the kids weren't with you.
Absolutely.
They did need to see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we say in the South, bless their hearts.
Right. But yeah, we had a good time. It was good weather for it too, at least.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess put your husband back on so we can finish this show.
He's standing here looming, so I'm going to pass it back.
I wasn't looming. I was
that's called
standing there.
That's hovering.
Yes, I was hovering. There you go.
It's the same thing. It's stalking. Yeah. You were a creeper, is what you were.
I was creeping. Yeah, there you go.
But,
why are you bringing both animals in here? Wait. Okay, fine.
Dave's cat. It's cat tails.
Anyway, all right. So yeah, the 50th. She had the best 50th day of stories. So I wanted to make sure she got her tails in.
Dude, what I don't understand is Disney does these kind of things all the time. I don't understand why I couldn't get on an app and say, I'm going to be there on the 50th. Here's what I want. Ship it to me. So that's actually what they did on the end of the 45th was they let you just click it. You had like 48 hours. If you had access to the bar, which meant everybody did it, which who cares if you were there who cares if rando people, because all of this stuff's going to be at Character Warehouse in a month.
Right. Exactly. And that's,
and so like,
that's what I have the biggest issue with. And in fact, okay, so we'll get into it here. I know we've got to get back to my thoughts on Remy's, but we'll get into, here's the biggest plus and minus. The big minus I have of this trip. Well, one of the big minuses I have. We'll talk about Harmonious and Enchantment or whatever it's called in a minute. But here's the deal. We were told, like Amanda said, the buses will start at 6:30. John Rogers was told the buses will start at 5. Someone else was told they'll start at 5:30. I remember back in the day, and I know I don't want to sound like that guy, but I'm going to be old man here. I remember back in Eisner and Iger, and most of Iger, when they said the parks opened at 7 and the buses started at 6:30, the parks opened at 7 and the buses started at 6:30. There was a schedule. There's not a schedule anymore. In fact, I asked at the Emporium the day before, what time are y'all going to start letting people in? Said, well, we're scheduled to open at 7, but if there's 1,000 people out in front, they'll probably open the gates and just tell them to come on in. I'm sorry, but that's going to be an issue for people like me and who Amanda was going up shopping. I want to come in and see the 50th welcome show. Okay, great. And here's my big issue. I've done the races where they have 6 buses lined up waiting to take people to the starting gate, right? I waited at Riviera. I got in line with the girls at 6:00. I didn't get on a bus until 7:45.
That's ridiculous.
I watched 2 buses go by because they packed us in like sardines, But I watched 2 buses go by, packed in like sardines of people, with people coming off with bags in their hands. You could have had at least, and Sherry, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like that. I'm going to be those peasants person that you talked about. At least it's your deluxe resorts and your moderate resorts.
Oh, dude, I think you absolutely. I remember the first time we stayed at the Grand Floridian, which you've only done a couple times, just because honestly, it's a little too for me. I'm fancy, but I'm not lacy.
Are you fancy like Applebee's?
I need a shirt that says that I'm fancy, but I'm not lacy. That sounds like a shirt you get in Cracker Barrel on clearance.
Yep.
But man, come on. I mean,
yep.
Don't. I don't even know, man.
I was,
and here's the deal, man. And we've got a lot more to talk about. But I did have a moment, and I don't know if I texted you this or not. I definitely texted Logan about it, and we talked about it kind of ad nauseum. You guys know that neither Dave or I have had much affection for the Bobs, but right. I am personally right now apologizing to Bob Iger. Bob Iger, I'm sorry. I love you, man. Yeah. I'm sorry. I've given you a hard time. You still didn't do a lot for the parks, but the night of the show, the harmonious the enchantment, which was everything but enchanting. Christina Aguilera comes out, does her songs, which is amazing. That was, if you were in the part of the press or a travel agent that got invited, agency owner, all the earmarked agents were invited, or agency owners were invited, all the Disney hosted crowd, all the staff, a lot of the hoop-de-doo was there,
right?
The Imagineers that had created it, and dude, I saw the picture. I follow Bob Weiss. I know Bob Weiss personally. I've met him several times at Imagineering, the president of Imagineering. I saw the picture of the humans that made Harmonious or Enchantment. You know what? It explains everything to me. When Bob Iger spoke at Enchantment, he was a well-spoken, well-trained, well-oiled machine. When Bob Chapek spoke, I'm gonna get some hate mail, and we may get shadow banned from Disney, but I'm gonna say it. I looked at Leslie, who was here, and our friend Mike Brennan was here, and I was like, "It's drunk Uncle Bob speaking at a wedding." Like it was like your uncle is somebody forgot to tell Uncle Bob that he couldn't do the toast that night. It was haphazard. It was like, "I'd like to thank the Academy and my mom and my third cousin and Billy. Billy's really cool. We wouldn't have a park without Billy." And Bob Iger sounded like he was doing the Gettysburg Address. It was like 400 years ago, our forefathers, War and Walt, created a magical place, and all are welcome. And then the show came out, right? And then the show came out.
Are we doing this now? Are we talking about this
now? We're doing it because it's all tied together. The show came out. The first half of that show.
Believe in magic.
You know what I believe? Hot garbage.
Yep.
I believe this is what happens. And I go back to this picture with Bob Weiss. And if you can look up Bob Weiss on Instagram, he's the vice president. He runs Imagineering, which he reports to. For accountability's sake, he reports to Josh Tomorrow, who then reports to Bob Chapek.
I also have a stirring thought on Josh. We'll talk about at the end of the show too.
Actually, here's what's missing, and you've heard me talk about this before. There is no advocate for creativity in the Walt Disney Company at all. Period. If you read the article in Hollywood Reporter, if you haven't read that, I highly encourage you to read it.
It's scary.
It's scary as heck. But what it tells me is something I thought was going to happen. With two things we're going to cause this. I'm excited that we're going to have an Imagineering presence in Central Florida, but we're what we have right now, and I was afraid of it. And when Joe Rohde bailed, I was like, "Oh God, here we go! Buckle up, Seabiscuit. We got it coming." We have what we have for the first time in the Walt Disney Company, literally the first time in the Walt Disney Company, a time and a place where we don't have legacy, and I'm not just talking about people with like blue name tags, but people who know what they're doing and understand the ethos and the culture of the company. There's nobody there. And Marty Sklar was this when Marty retired. Marty would go to blows for Imagineering.
Yep.
Marty would go to blows for creativity and story, and he'd say, you know what? I know we're supposed to open on January 2nd, but you know what? We're not. This is hot garbage, and we're fixing it, and we're not opening it. Under Marty Sklar, we would have never had Kite Tales and all that. Let's not even talk about that.
I'm glad I didn't get a chance to go see that.
Oh, dude, I mean, I will be shocked if it's still there in 3 weeks when I go. I'll be shocked.
Let's not say 3 weeks. I'll be shocked if it's there by the end of the year.
The problem is it takes and that's the problem, right? Harmonious, I think, is glorious and fantastic.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Almost perfect. I still don't know that it's worth the payoff of the barges in the middle of.
It is.
It's close. I haven't seen it. I can't make that decision until I see it on purpose. But from quality of production to quality, the story is like a C+, B-.
Carrie says, "You mean drunk tailspin?"
I love drunk tailspin. That's amazing.
But anyway, so let me say, here's my thing on Enchantment. You had I posted this in the Top of the World Listener Lounge a couple nights ago. You had Once Upon a Time, I think was what it was called,
yes,
where it had a whole part,
yes,
of Walt sitting there drawing Mickey and says, "Just remember, it all started with a mouse."
Yes,
there's not one mention of Walt Disney himself in your fifth, or Roy,
Roy for that matter. Which honestly,
anniversary.
We should have had at the very least for the entire run of the 50th. We should hear Roy's. You know what I couldn't find, and this is interesting. I'm going to have to do some more research, but I think we all remember I couldn't find Roy's entire speech anywhere on the internet.
No, but I will say this:
it's been taken down, and I don't know if Disney's had it taken down or not, because it was the same speech. If you've been in One Man's Dream, right? You go in One Man's Dream, and it's like thankfully cooler heads prevailed, and then he read the dedication. Like at the very least, it should have said, you know, this is dedicated to the heck. Even Eisner came out and they had Roy's son read. Right. I think it was. I want to say it was at the 25th. They had Roy. Is it Roy E?
Roy E.
Roy E. read his dad's dedication. Like at the very least, you should have heard the dedication.
So they did have Jeff on the loudspeakers saying that every 2 hours. You know, thank you for coming to the Walt Disney Magic Kingdom, as Roy said on October 1st, 1971, and then read the speech. So, but it was this, and but
right before the dystopian. Please remember to wear your masks indoors. You know, like
this is what they should. This Enchantment is supposed to be your 50th anniversary.
Well, and see, here's the real problem.
Fireworks show,
dude. It wasn't supposed to be anything,
right?
Rather than just all they needed to do, Happily Ever After was fine. All they needed to do was spruce it up, put a bumper on the beginning of it before it, and add some projections to Main Street, and nobody would have complained. It would have been awesome.
And everybody would have loved it. In fact, I'll tell you, one of the most magical moments I've ever had at Walt Disney Magic Kingdom was Wednesday night. We weren't going to go see the last Happily Ever After, but we had just got done eating at Ohana. We had just gotten off the monorail. There was about 15 minutes for the fireworks show. We looked at each other and said, let's go. I was at the very end, my butt was at the train station. I was holding Ellie. She's singing in my ears. And I have the entire Main Street cast behind me.
Okay, yes.
Where they're cast members.
And they're all singing everywhere.
And they're all singing. Tears are flowing down their eyes because of how emotional Happily Ever After is.
Yeah, you know what it feels like? It feels like the music from Tangled.
Yeah,
it feels
I cried.
I'm
not going to lie.
And I'm talking about the Tangled that was in Happily Ever After, but this whole thing feels like, oh man, what a great movie. Why did they have a great song? And the new song,
right.
It's a C-.
I don't even give it that. I give it a D.
Yeah.
Because there's no tugging at your heart.
No, and that was
None
really
of it.
And I said this. I can't tell you who I talked to, but I talked to somebody a decent up in the person of the company. I was like, man, it had no soul.
Yep.
It had
but soul's in it.
Yeah, that was like the only soul was that awkward moment where he's playing piano on the castle. And dude, I have yet to see it in person. And here's the thing, right? If you took those fireworks and put them in any city in America on any regular night of the week,
They're amazing.
They're amazing, right? But
it's not Disney.
And a friend of mine went last week with 10 people who had never been to the Magic Kingdom ever,
right?
And they thought it was great. And he was a former cast member, and he was like, my perspective was, their perspective was, this was amazing.
Well, and that's what I'll say. Here's my big beef with it. First, let's. I've always been told you always talk about the happy stuff first. First, I loved that they put stuff on Main Street. They finally brought that in to
ish.
Cat, get away.
I feel like they borrowed like. They said, hey, who has an extra projector they're not using at home? Can you bring it in so we can mount them on Main Street? They were felt really low tech.
I am, Happily Ever After was the almost perfect show, but it didn't have enough fireworks for me.
Yes, I agree.
Enchantment they focused on fireworks more.
Yes, I'll agree with that, which was the right thing to do.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean, which is why they covered Main Street in projections. But dude, those projections, I know
could have been better.
There are people now. Granted, I live in Nashville. We're a different city. There are people who have better projection mapping on their houses in my neighborhood,
right,
than the Walt Disney Company has on Main Street, USA.
My biggest beef, besides there's no soul. Don't put your entirety focus on a 50th anniversary fireworks show on modern characters.
Well, see, I don't think it's actually it's just that's the thing,
right? But then if you're going to debut it on the 50th,
yeah,
and we're expecting,
it was like nobody knew. It was like this. Hey guys, we need to do fireworks for the show. Great. It was like nobody told him it was for the 50th.
Right. Exactly.
It was just
yeah.
And I think it's and if you look at the people that they were doing two shows at the same time, right? Big, huge error. Because
Harmonious is much better.
Steve Davidson, who spoke at a conference I did in 2014 in Anaheim, is a brilliant. He's the guy he's literally the show director for World of Color.
Right.
He was the lead, one of the leads for. He was his team. I can't think of his partner in this. Cynthia, maybe. They were the ones that came up with the dragon for the parade. I mean, these people are top-notch creatives at the Walt Disney Company. Steve Davidson, amazing dude, super generous. He gets story. He was the one that he did Happily Ever After.
Oh, cool.
He was the lead on Happily Ever After. So obviously, he went from World of Color to Happily Ever After to Harmonious.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, and if you can look at the picture on Bob Weiss's Instagram, and they may be taking it down, but it's almost all people who, and this is going to show that I'm about to I'm a week away from another birthday, but it's like, did all these people just get their driver's license and Bob picked them up on the bus, and that's who made? And it kind of feels that way, right? And I get it. Like Disney got rid of a lot of senior talent, and a lot of those people just said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I can go take my services elsewhere. And you know what, I think Enchantment's only the beginning. I think Enchantment's only the beginning of what the consequences of the last 18 months are going to do to the Disney company. We've already seen Mary Poppins just disappear. This is the second time we've been promised a Mary Poppins attraction. And it's just disappeared. I hope that nothing else from Epcot gets taken out. But yeah, man, Remy. I don't know what your opinion is on Remy.
All right, so we'll get to that.
Let's go to Remy, because personally, I think Remy is an amazing. It's beautiful. That area is excellence to the core. Yep. People like the queue isn't any good. I'm like, they built.
It's because they weren't looking for it. There's so much, like, as you're leaving
the whole area
queue,
is a queue.
Right. As you're leaving the queue or the ride, you see huge tile. And then when you go back to the real world, you see small tile. You know what that means? You go from rat size to human size again.
Yes.
They
Yes.
made the queue so interactive
Yes.
that it's as you're getting off the ride, you're back going to a human size.
And dude, I thought they did a great job
Oh,
on
yeah.
in that attraction. I would say a lot of the, the 4D stuff is top notch. The
Oh.
wheel, you're under a dining room cart.
The heat,
The heat, the wheels moving,
the water,
the smells.
oh, the smell, that whatever that, it's cinnamon-ish, but
And then there's the baked bread.
Oh.
How many times did you ride it?
3 times.
Nice. That's what I think. We did it
And there was about a 25-minute wait, but
well worth it.
luckily, well, luckily, unluckily, we've got our DAS pass. We got the disability pass because Ellie's ADHD. Trust me, you don't want to wait in line for longer than 10 minutes with her. So they had that up and running back there, and so we were able to ride it, 3 or 4 times. I think 3 times was how many times we did it. And
Yeah, top
every
notch.
time, yeah, it's top notch. It's incredible.
I think that's on you. You're going to want to do every time. Now
Oh.
it is currently on a Lightning Lane upcharge.
Which, by the way, prices were actually decent-ish.
For Logan's family for a ride on Rise, it's $90.
Okay, but let's look at
$90. Now, wait a second. $90 plus 75 for the Genie Plus.
Jeffrey, it is glasses like Mickey and Minnie's.
Yes, it's glasses.
Or not Mickey and Minnie's, like
Star Tours.
Star Tours, yeah.
Or Rise.
So, but yes, I hear that for Logan's family. But let's look at it this way, Terry. And I had a conversation with a good friend of mine the other day, who who I have these conversations with all the time. You, me, Logan, most of the people that listen to this show are jaded in the fact that we go all the time.
Yes.
And we expect
Yes.
more from us. But let's take Ben Harris, coming from UK. Hadn't had the chance to ride Rise. But if he gets to pay $90 on his one trip in 3 years to ride Rise,
he's going to do it every time.
He's going to do it every single time.
Yeah.
I think for the people, Lightning Lane and Genie Plus is not for you, me, Logan, Jeffrey.
No. Now, granted, I'll be honest. Time is money. I'm ponying up. I'm going to probably pony up Genie Plus almost every day.
I don't know if I'll do it every day, but
I mean, I'm going to do it with the tour group that we're going to Epcot for our VIP day, and I'm going to do it for all of those people out of my pocket. Hey,
Jeffrey asked the question. You need to buy Genie Plus to book. I don't know 100% for a fact yet. I'm taking a class, my travel agent class. I'm taking that tomorrow.
It's part of it. Lightning Lane, I believe, is only part of Genie Plus, and it's not part of Genie.
Okay. Well, I will let everybody know for 100% certain when I take that class tomorrow.
I don't think we're going to know for 100% certain until you actually do it or try to do it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm still. Dude, we got to wrap this thing up. We've been going.
I know we've been going a long time.
So let's talk about the other big let's talk about some actual DVC news.
Well, I won't do this. I won't talk about Harmonious because I've seen a lot of bad chatter from some people about Harmonious. I'm going to go on a hot take there, and I think Terry and I are in full agreement on this. Harmonious is probably top 3 fireworks show that Disney World, the Disney company, have ever done.
I actually did a rating list. I'm gonna see if I can find
it to me. I know people are upset about bringing IP into the World Showcase. You say it goes against the original view of what the World Showcase was built for.
You know what else goes against the original view of Epcot?
Epcot, right. I get it. I understand your thinking. But if you go and do a deeper dive into what Harmonious is, it's putting the language that the song is, the princess was originally supposed to be, in that home language.
Yes, I'll give you my ranking because people are, in case you miss it. Number 1, Wishes. Number 2, Happily Ever After. Number 3, Star Wars: The Galactic Spectacular. If for no other reason than it's John Williams.
Right.
Now, I saw the version of it that was before the Galactic Spectacular, and I'll be straight up honest with you. The first time I saw that, I didn't cry. I wept. Maybe just because Star Wars has that effect on me. Star Wars and Mickey Mouse kind of have the same effect on me. Right behind Star Wars, I had World of Color, which when it has its moments of imperfection. Right behind World of Color is Harmonious. Yep. Behind that is Fantasmic at Disneyland. Number 7 is Illuminations. Number 8 is Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios. Which, for perspective on where these are ranking, right? I do Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios about every 10 years. I think it's one of the worst shows ever done. Behind that, Enchantment.
Yep.
And then Rivers of Light at the very end. So there's my Harmonious, dude. What's really special about Harmonious, and I know a lot of Latino leaders, a lot of people of color leaders, people who are international, and the way that was done, there's an entire group of people that Disney has not seen or made feel seen ever,
and they did,
and they did with Harmonious. And not only did they make them, but it was not just the Coco moment, but it was the Coco moment, not with like random people singing. It was like with like all of that moment, and that was great. The African choir for the Lion King moment was absolutely amazing. If you're a Christian music fan, you may recognize the Hercules, which is Danny Goki.
Was it?
Yeah, Danny Goki did the and dude, I actually know somebody who did the vocals in Aaron Encinas, who's one of the musical directors on The Voice. He actually performed it at the Mini Thing LA the first time we did an event out there. He did our after party with a couple of friends, and he does your song from Frozen 2 that you love.
Oh, yeah.
He does that, like he does the high part and everything. That part,
that's cool.
That's the best part of Enchantment. But Harmonious, dude, was top notch. The barges. I will say this. And one of the big beefs that I'll totally agree with, that Disney made an attraction for people who were over 5 feet tall. My wife will be looking at someone else's shoulder and miss half the show. Your kids that'll be looking at some dude's butt won't see the show.
Honestly, you say that, but we walked all around the lagoon, and those LEDs, they are the same show from any point you look at. So there are three screens on each LED barge. The only real thing you'll miss is the water show on the big Stargate or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and I would say for optimal viewing, try to get near that one, or at least where you can see that one. I think you can see that from each side, right?
Yeah, optimal viewing would be Japan, United States, maybe Italy, and then the refreshment outpost. All of that, not the refreshment outpost. The the port. Yeah. So either side of World Showcase would be your best viewing.
And I think anyone that's criticizing that show is off base. They're just butthurt that Illuminations is gone.
Which I didn't like Illumination.
Dude, Illuminations has been there forever. I mean, as much as I like nostalgia, I actually I finally got around to watching those awful what is that? The one that The Rock produced. I don't know how they wrote it, but I finally got around to watching a couple of those.
Oh, the
Leslie's been gone. That's what I've been watching while I've been eating at home by myself.
Yeah.
Behind the attraction, and
right. Yeah, they're not great.
They're just the tone of them. And it is, you know what? And I'll say this: it's the same exact thing that I think is actually happening creatively with the Walt Disney Company.
They're taking Walt out of it.
What was the first one called? The really good, was it the Imagineering Story? Yeah, like the Pixar story, the Imagineering Story. That was like Disney Legends in first class and great production and everything. And the new ones are like, oh, Bob Chapek, he wasn't even available. We got these randos. It's like this guy, and dude, I know a couple of the people. Like Tom Morris was in one of them, but for the most part, it was like, okay, was this all that they could get to film this?
Right.
It's not, it's like the other one had like Dick Nunes and Tony Baxter and lots of great Marty Sklar footage. And speaking of Marty Sklar, if you haven't got, I highly encourage you to read the cover story on this month's DVC, whatever the DVC magazine that we get in the mail. That story is amazing. You get an amazing piece of art in that. What is that thing called? Tales
Disney
or something?
Files.
Disney Files. Yeah, that story and the story from Marty Sklar, the letter that he wrote to Walt. Yep.
I got it right there.
My allergies flared up a little bit this weekend with that one.
So,
but yeah, man, I think we're dealing with that same kind of thing, like when you see those two specials. But the point was, I did have a point, believe it or not, Dave. That
sorry,
just the I watched the Jungle Cruise one actually twice because I wanted to I love that attraction. But I mean, the evolution of that ride, we're all kind of upset about the evolution of that ride, but we shouldn't be, because the original ride is nothing like what Walt wanted. Walt wanted a live zoo. The original Jungle Cruise ride is actually on a Jeep, and it's at the Animal Kingdom. That's what Walt wanted to build the first time. The original one was a boring boat ride of fake animals. That was the original one, and then it was like someone was like, no one was riding it, and they had to figure out what was wrong with it. And Walt was like, oh, well, let's make it funny. Let's get the guy in the building that makes it funny. And so they made it funny. They made it entertaining. They put a story to it.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and so I feel like the story men have left the building. I feel like the people that know how to integrate story and immersion into and I'm a little. Now, I will say this, on these new rides that are like the Marvel team is on and the Pixar team is on, they have their own story people. Those divisions of the company have their own Imagineers, and they're top notch. And so
let me wrap up my thoughts with this. Great visit. I every time I get to go to Magic Kingdom and Disney World, it's amazing. Seeing my girls, knowing that this is a trip that they're going to remember for the rest of their life, amazing.
They'll be able to take their kids to the 100th anniversary and say, I was here with my dad.
Maybe. Yeah. They won't be that old then. They'll be in their 50s.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll probably be long gone.
Yeah. They'll be in the Magic Kingdom beating somebody up over
Starbucks tumbler.
Disney NFTs.
Yeah. So, but here's what I am afraid, like you said earlier, here's what I'm afraid of. We are losing Walt Disney himself, because there is no mention of Walt in the 50th material. There's no mention of Roy in the 50th material. And Terry, this is what I see you're messing with your animals, but this is what I think.
I'm still with you.
Yeah, this is what I think it really hurts me the most. We're here for the 50th anniversary, walking down Main Street, USA, but they are more focused on Halloween. They have taken the Roy and Minnie bench out, and it's just their little hay bale scene.
It's on the side.
No, it's not there.
You sure? They normally move it.
They normally
move it all the way over to the side. I'm sure. I saw people with pictures with it last week.
Okay, well, it wasn't there when I was looking.
It's normally moved over. It normally gets moved over to what is this? City Hall.
Right. Well, but I was
right in front of Tony's.
There wasn't a photographer there. If it was there, the photographer was where he normally is.
Yeah, because that's the photo pass opportunity.
Right. But for Disney fans, that's when we should have wanted to sit on that bench with the photographer.
Oh, dude, I mean, they should have moved the dang thing.
It should have been in the middle.
And dude, I mean, you and I said, like, you and I both, had to get together a Walt Funko, like, but dude, I strongly believe, and this goes back not just to Walt Disney World. I'm actually reading his book right now about the life of Roy Disney. There would be no Disneyland. There would be no Disney World. There would have never been Snow White, ever. There would have never been a Mickey Mouse without Roy Disney.
Right.
There is no single man that has had more influence. You might could argue of iWorks, But the
Other
operations,
than Walter Elias Disney.
yep, the Roy made it happen. And it was. And this is what we can end this with a positive note. I say this, if you listen to the Making Elephants Fly podcast, my podcast, I believe, I say it all the time, that the greatest gift that you can give someone else is belief in them. And Roy Disney believed in Walt Disney. Roy believed that Walt had a vision and a dream, and he would fight anybody to make it happen. And that's why all of these things happen. And he fought with Walt to make the idea better, to make it more palatable. And they went all in on making these things a reality. And believe me, there was a lot of discussion of Disney World never happening. And Roy chose to pursue and to persevere because of the legacy of his brother. And in fact, that's the dedication. It is dedicated to the legacy and the memory of Walter Elias Disney, the man that had walked down Main Street, USA in Marceline, Missouri, and had a dream for Mickey Mouse theme park after riding the carousel at Griffith Park. And that's why there's a theme park on Swampland. And I think Walt Disney World is really missing an opportunity to have Walt's plane that used to sit on the what was that ride called? Backlot Tour. That thing is on the very, very, very back of the Animal Kingdom right now. Some days it has a tarp on it, some days it doesn't, but it's like fenced off with like stuff you'd see in front of a stage at like at the Rolling Stones concert or whatever. Right. Like I feel like they've missed an opportunity to truly, and honestly, they could put it on the airstrip where it landed, which is literally right behind the Contemporary.
I think that needs to be an attraction.
Yeah. Like, would you go to like a little Walt museum? Like,
hands down.
Would you make that part of your trip if you could go and like experience the legacy of like, man, every trip it'd be a stop for me.
Yep.
Honestly, there's a parking garage right behind One Man's Dream. They could tear out and just put it right there.
Just put. Well, no, right now it's a building. It's an office building.
No, there's a parking garage where it was the parking garage for animation is still back there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of buildings. There's still several of the old sound stages that you could just tear one of those down, which there's not that much to them,
right?
And put it in one of the old sound stages with like a, it would have made a lot of sense to kind of have that thing restored and where you could kind of at least peek in it, because that's literally where the vision for Walt Disney World. Walt flew around that area, looking and how Walt Disney World came to be is a miracle.
Yep, it is. And in fact, Terry, if we're wrapping up, let's do this. Let's do our normal ending thing, and then I'm going to read this Marty Sklar letter. I think that's because I'm reading it now, and while you're talking, and it fits perfectly with how we're ending this.
Yeah, and because I think, in this letter for context. Obviously, if you guys would I'll do both of our plugs. If you don't subscribe to Making Elephants Fly podcast, or if you don't subscribe to the Unrelated to Birth podcast, you should go and do that because you want more Dave and I.
Exactly.
You need to join both. You need to join the Unrelated Birth listener group. You need to join the Top of the World Listeners Lounge if you're not part of it, and you need to join me in Orlando for the thing. And if you can't join me for the thing, you can go on the thing website, buy a ticket, and you'll get a live stream link if you can't be there in person. So
also I have to say, I forget the lady's name. I remember her husband's name is Dave Adams. That's how I remember. But Amanda and I were in the lobby at Animal Kingdom Lodge, and after I was talking to the concierge there, I heard somebody say, "I think I recognize your voice. Are you Dave Adams?" She says she was a listener of Top of the World, and she's not in the DVC, the Top of the World Listener Lounge, but just on and on about how great you and I are, Terry. It's awesome to get recognized in the parks.
Yeah.
I'll say that. And yeah, I feel bad that I forgot her name. It was late at night. I'll use that as an excuse.
Yeah. You had been beat over the head with a Starbucks tumbler by that point. Probably on the trip.
Probably right.
Yeah. So like the context for this letter is Marty Sklar. As if you don't know who Marty is, he was He was, I would say, the Jiminy Cricket of the Walt Disney Company. A lot of the quotes that you love by Walt Disney, Walt didn't say them. Marty did. Marty used to write the Disneyland newspaper, and then Walt discovered, hey, this guy's better at this stuff than me. And so a lot of the stuff that you heard Walt do on television, that you love, those magical memories that you have gone back and watched over and over again on YouTube or on Disney Plus, that was almost all exclusively written by Marty Sklar. Marty was huge in the Magic Kingdom. Epcot was really his signature park. This letter was written as Marty had just been up in a helicopter overlooking the property that they had purchased. And he was really emotional about it because, hey, man, like, here's this thing that Walt has given to us, all this land. And Marty wrote this letter as if it was, and this isn't all the letter. The letter is in the entire letter is in Travels by Figment by Marty Sklar. You can get it on Amazon. It's kind of a posthumous book about all of like some of these things that Marty had written during his life and career at the Walt Disney Company. And when he died, Marty was the only person at the Walt Disney Company that had been to the opening of every Disney park from Disneyland to Shanghai. And so to say he is a Disney legend is an understatement. He is the Disney legend. And many of the things that you love and adore exist because of Marty's legacy and his leadership, even up until his death. And if you want some more Marty Sklar memories, there's an episode of Making Elephants Fly where I interviewed several Disney Imagineers about what working with Marty was like. But Dave, why don't you read us this letter? The letter says he was basically sitting on top of his car, probably somewhere, I would guess, around the Contemporary Resort, if I was guessing, because that's where the airstrip was. And it would have been right by the campground. That's kind of where they stayed in that area. Up until a couple of years ago, some of the people still worked at Trails End area. But yeah, here's a letter from Marty Sklar to Walter Elias Disney.
Yep. Dear Walt, today I flew over your world for about 2 hours in a helicopter. Walt, words are always tough enough to come by, but this is really something else. You should see the view from 350 feet. It's one of the most exciting vistas in this land of breathtaking views over lakes and cypress and pines and oak. I really can't describe it, Walt. I know the view alone will pale before the excitement and world stature of Epcot's showplace and showcase for American free enterprise. People will come from everywhere in the world to see that. But the view alone, that's magnificent too. Bob Evans, a legendary landscaper, took off with a surveyor while I was on topside in the chopper, looking over the cameraman's shoulder. So I'm just sitting here right on top of a rental car. They tell me you don't dare sit on the ground in this country on a gorgeous, clear, sunny Sunday afternoon in November. Thinking back to what I have just seen from the air, I marvel at the strength and logic of it all. I guess that shouldn't have surprised me. But I hadn't, as you did, lived and died with this plan. I lived with it in planning it and died with it as you traced it over and over again on your hospital room ceiling. I'm told these were your last thoughts, and now I can understand why you have chosen this particular thought as your last. Walt, this is more than simply a world. This will be a legend's golden kingdom. You are that legend. And here, the legend will always live. With all respects, forever, I remain your most affectionately, Marty Sklar.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yep.
And I think that's why I feel as strongly as I do about some of the things that I've said today. That I, in some ways, I almost feel like some of it's kind of an insult to that man that letter was written to. And I hope it's true that the best days are ahead for the Walt Disney Company, and I hope there is someone to fight for the legacy and leadership of creativity and story. And I'm looking forward to I'm looking forward to many of the things that are still to come. Looking forward to Tron. I'm looking forward to Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's a good move for the company. I'm actually even looking forward to the Moana fountains.
Can't say that I am.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I'm just excited to see Moana in the parks. But we'll, we and all these things we'll have to talk about the we didn't even get to the Galactic Star Cruisers because heck, this thing's already an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people have tuned out by now. It's just you and I talking to ourselves like a bunch of raging madmen.
I'm sorry, y'all, but when you get me talking about my trips with my daughters, and my wife, it's just I can go on and on.
It's why you bought DVC. It's why we DVC.
Yep.
And on that note, we still don't know what's happening with the Top of the World Lounge. But until then, you can come hang out with us in the corner booth on our Facebook group.
Hey!
The new Top of the World Lounge. And we don't have any view from fireworks, but whatever. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.